Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, everybody. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a Disney Plus double feature of review of two Disney Plus documentaries that released this week with Not Just a Goof and Pets. So this was kind of an exciting thing for me because I think that of the Disney Plus original stuff, like, we could say whatever we want about the Pixar, about the original movies and the in the shorts, and well, actually the shorts are actually really good and probably the best thing from it. And the shows are not that great, but if I'm gonna be honest, what is the best thing that I've seen from Disney are the documentaries. Like, honestly, whether it's the Disney nature documentaries, and they release some really good ones, but also some like the Jim Henson one from last year. I liked the Howard one and the Stan Lee one, but the Stan Lee one, I already knew a lot of stuff about Stan Lee, so didn't really need to watch it. And with not just and so this time we got a documentary about the making of a Goofy movie, and we also got a documentary about people's experiences and lives with their pets. So we're gonna go ahead and review these documentaries real quick. Need to get some water. Anyways, alright, so let's go ahead and get started talking about Not Just a Goof, which released on April 7th, Monday, on the 30th anniversary of a Goofy movie. And I'm going to be honest, I thought this documentary was actually pretty great. To where basically it discusses the story of the making of how a Goofy movie was made, why it was made, and the failures it had at the beginning when it came out, but a massive success it got many years later. So let's talk about the making. So the making of this movie basically begins with the director Kevin Lima, which if you don't know who that guy is, he actually has directed other things than a Goofy movie. He actually directed Tarzan and Enchanted, two other great Disney movies in my opinion. And this guy basically what came in, and he was like, when I was a kid, one of the best Disney movies I watched was The Jungle Book, and that was basically the film that inspired him to do a Goofy movie. Which, I'm not gonna lie, if I was a kid back in 1967, I think The Jungle Book was a great pick to be inspired to make a Disney film. But what was so fascinating in him making this movie is that this movie came out around the time when the Disney Renaissance was a thing, where movies like The Little Mermaid and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, and of course it came out a year after The Lion King came out, possibly the highest grossing animated film of all time, and a Goofy movie was going to be competing with those films, and The Little Mermaid too. So it was a very tricky task for this guy to do, and just far out, we get to see a lot of the making of how this movie was made, with like archival footage of like Jason Marsden and Bill Farmer doing their performances. We get to see some funny little cute things, like whenever they had to do the kiss scenes for Max and Roxanne in the film, they would have the voice actors of Max and Roxanne in the same booth, and they would like kiss in the mic, and I'm like, that's kind of cute. And they were like, we're not adults yet. I'm like, that's actually kind of funny. And then also there's even like some of these goofy concepts that they had at first that Disney wanted them to do. They wanted Steve Martin to voice Goofy. Like, they didn't want Goofy to sound goofy in the film because they thought it would be really unrealistic. They wanted this film to be realistic. And if you imagined Steve Martin, the voice of Goofy, that would be incredibly weird. Like, very, very weird of a voice choice. So, thank God they did not do that. Some other interesting things from the making of the movie was I loved learning about the stuff of like the music choice in here, where uh of course the creation of all the songs and the dance numbers and all that stuff, and how it was actually choreographed in real life before they put it on the screen and animated it. That was something really cool. And also, you actually get to learn about the voice of Powerline in here, which I wasn't really wondering of who the voice of Powerline was, because besides a Goofy movie, Powerline isn't really a character in Disney. He was created only for a Goofy movie. But I will say I love the stuff that we actually got to learn about him in this movie, that essentially he was inspired by a lot of different artists, which I don't remember the other ones, but the more memorable one that I remember was that he was inspired by Michael Jackson, and you can definitely tell the MJ representation of this character. And his voice, Tevin, and he was voiced by Tevin Campbell, who we even saw some recording booth footage of him in the booth singing his heart out with Stand Out and Eye to Eye, and they even did a dance number for choreographed dance number for that. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. And once again, they just described this as like a John Hughes movie. Like, you are transporting yourself into this school era with kids of like the 60s or the 80s or something like that. And it just felt like something really cool in the way they talked about it. Trying to think of any other behind the scenes stuff that happened. Um Oh, and they also like wanted Bill Farmer, like, he was still casted as Goofy in the film, but they wanted him to talk in like his normal voice to see how it would be. And the people didn't said they did not like it, so they kept Bill Farmer doing just the Goofy voice. Thank God that didn't happen. But let's get into the real meat and bones here. I think one of the weaker points of this documentary is kind of diving into the failure and success of the film. Where obviously when the film came out, the movie had terrible reviews, and they couldn't even find even a good one, like a good review of saying this movie is great. And I won't lie, I rewatched the movie this week because I was interested to see what the movie was like. After, because I haven't seen the full thing after since like 2019 when I first got Disney Plus. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of greatness in this movie. But I can't say, but everybody that says it's a masterpiece, I do not get that. Because there's actually a lot of, like, criticisms that I'll talk about later on, but, I don't even remember what some of the reviews were, but basically a lot of the reviews for when the film came out were bad. And then, come about 20 years later, in 2015, at D23, they had a panel for a Goofy movie for the 20th anniversary, and apparently a lot of people really liked that panel. And then you look on the internet, and you start seeing all these rave reviews for a Goofy movie and why it meant so special. It was so special to so many people. Excuse me. And that is what makes this film, it's what made it so impactful, that this movie, that started out so terrible, it actually meant a whole lot to so many people. Which, in my mind, to give you a quick mini review after I saw it, rewatched it this week, I gotta say, there's a lot of genius behind this movie, But I'm not gonna lie, some of these ideas in the film feel very weird. Because you do have a good premise of all the stuff with Goofy and Max. This was technically the origin of where that all started, because I remember watching the Mickey Christmas movies, and all the Goofy and Max stories will be some of my favorites, because I'm like, Max just doesn't understand his dad and stuff. Um, and all that stuff works, and the storyline with him liking Roxanne works. But there's honestly a lot of stuff that feels very odd. I think the principal really overreacted to the fact that he said that Max was going to end up in the electric chair, when really he said that he caused the school in a dramatic frenzy. Bro, all he did was just put on a show for the kids. Like, sure, he dropped the principal down like in a pipe or whatever, but he didn't do anything wrong technically. And then, like, you're just mad. You're just mad that nobody cares about science slumber parties. Like, and then also, like, was the day Max went to school, like, the last day of school? And even then, when you get to the end of the film, they don't even discuss it. They just kind of decide, we're going to go to the concert. And it just happens really quick, and then he goes to Roxanne's house to apologize. Which, once again, how does he know where Roxanne lives? I know this was the second time going, but how did he know the first time? Where did he go? Did he ever go into his house before to, like, do homework or something with her? Like, what happened with that? So, there's just a few glaring issues that I came across with this movie, but I still absolutely love it. So overall, I think that this film was pretty much perfect, and the documentary, that is, I thought the way that it was telling its story, and it really felt, kind of nostalgic. So, yeah, I personally loved Not Just a Goof. And now let's talk about Pets, which I was interested because, Disney telling the story about how pets mean so much to you. I think that this was a very smart documentary that I'm not even sure if it's ever been done before, but I love the way they did it, where basically it kind of just tells a story kind of throughout life in a way, to where whether it's dogs, cats, birds, pigs, mice, all that type of stuff. It, of course, starts out very happy when you are loving the pet, you are having so much fun with it, they play around and stuff. There's also its bad times where they poop and pee on the floor, or they spill their food all over the floor, or they make lots of ruckus all over the place. And then there's some relationship, personal connection stuff that goes on when you're with your pet. If you're an adult and you're having a pet, that's what makes it really interesting even more, where you are trying to... And all these little stories that they had throughout this documentary, where you had this guy that was kayaking. He had a dog, and he decided, you know what? I gotta train this dog, because I don't really know much about, dog connections. I wanted a dog, but, he trained the dog to, like, learn how to climb on a branch, or how to stay, how to jump on the lifeboat. Like, all that stuff was really cool, that you can actually train these animals to basically kind of understand you in a way, and develop the relationships in so many different ways. And not only that, but, sometimes pets can also inspire you to do a lot of things. Like, there was this like one cat guy that like basically would take care of cats at a cat shelter or whatever. And it was just something really engaging and smart and what they were able to do. But as great of relationships you can have with pets, there's also the worst times when your pets pass away. This is kind of been a sore subject for me because somehow on my Instagram and TikTok feed, I came across some videos of like pets, like dogs passing away, and then I started looking at my dog like, wait, my dog is turning 6 years old soon in May. Is this a sign? Is she not gonna make it? But I'm hope, knock on wood, that doesn't happen because I can't be losing my dog. I need her. But it also just makes you realize that as great as having a pet at first is, there's also its bad times. But at the same time, you can also teach your pet stuff. You can create a relationship, connection with them, and but at the same time, that connection and that relationship will hurt so much when they pass away. And it's almost as like, and you even question it as to like, well, why is it that we are so emotional about it? And that's what really makes it kind of interesting to me. So I will say I wish they dived into this segment a little bit more, because I think it's a really important topic to discuss. Because apparently everybody has their own experiences of grief, and pets are a very special part of the family. And so overall, that's kind of my experience. That's my thoughts on not just a goof and pets. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.